Hello, I am Merryana Salem. I am a Lebanese-Aboriginal bisexual woman.
Hello, I'm Durr-e Adan Haque, also known as Dora. I'm an Indonesian-Pakistani non-binary lesbian.
We are two writers who love movies, television, and books, especially when they're gay.
And welcome to GayV Club, where we analyse LGBT texts
that we like, that we don't like. And how we relate to these texts as gay people of colour.
I can't believe you forgot the last half of our intro.
No, I thought you were going to say it.
No, we'd never say it, bro.
Right, whatever.
Happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month, everybody. But I also have so much beef with the passage of time, just
That's
so
true.
everybody knows.
I can't believe it's already June.
I can't believe we're living in a global pandemic and time has the audacity
to keep going.
Yep. My brother pointed out to me that my birthday will probably, by the time it happens, things will be reopened. And I'm not a big party person, as you know. So he's told me, though, I have to throw a big birthday bash for all the people who, quote, didn't get birthdays this year. And I pointed out to him that the birthdays still happened, they just didn't get a party. But he was like, nah, they didn't happen. So, yeah, beef.
Hire out
with
a movie theatre.
Oh, yeah.
I miss
Honestly,
going to the movies so much.
I heard that they're going to reopen Palace Cinemas.
I did hear about that, but also I don't know if they should.
I don't think they should. I think it's pathetic. Apparently they're only going to let 8 people in a cinema or something. I'm like...
Do you think that many people actually come to their cinema? Can I just say how many times that I have rocked up to Leichhardt and sat in a cinema with maybe only 2 other people in it?
And it's probably the same 2 people every time.
I know. Yeah, I miss movies. Speaking of movies...
Oh wow, what a segue.
Speaking of pride.
Speaking of months.
Speaking of being gay.
Yes?
Okay, so for this episode, we wanted to give our pride / quarantine recs.
Yeah.
Recommendations for movies and TV shows that we've been watching throughout this
strange
time. Yeah, and because it's Pride and because we can't really do anything for Pride outside, I feel like everything related to Pride has been cancelled due to public health and safety, as it should be.
I just like to say, I know that we said we were going to talk about Hollywood, Netflix, and BoJack Horseman, but life happened, and we decided that this episode would be a bit more timely anyway.
Yeah.
So that will probably be next episode, after we get things sorted out.
Yes.
So we're going to wreck some stuff, as in REC, not WRECK.
Yeah, before we dive into it, thank you for listening, obviously, to GayV Club. If you like us, please like, subscribe, rate, leave a nice review wherever you listen to podcasts. We're on Twitter and Instagram at GayV_club. For the movies and shows we'll be discussing today, I think it would be nice if we posted a thread on where people can watch them.
Yep.
On those social media accounts. Also, if you'd like to support us on Patreon, we're at patreon.com/GayV Club, and you can access bonus episodes and other benefits there. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so because it is Pride Month, a lot of public displays of pride going on. Obviously, we have parades, we have functions all around the world where LGBT people can express their identities freely and the pride that they feel. Pride actually isn't really a thing in Australia, I do have to say, though.
It's not really.
No, not really. So 1 year after Stonewall in Sydney, Australia, there was a celebration on Oxford Street, which is the gay area in Sydney. There was a celebration on Oxford Street just in commemoration of the anniversary of Stonewall. Eventually, though, some police showed up and many people there got arrested. After these arrests, This caused a lot of people to march in silent protests, and actually those marches led to the decriminalisation of homosexuality in Australia.
Yay.
And just, it continued each year, every June, until suddenly the government realised, like, hey, we can make money off this. Why don't we move it to summer time so people aren't cold? Because remember, we're in the southern hemisphere, so it's really cold right now.
We should add that that's Australian cold, which if you live somewhere where it actually gets cold, you probably think we're hilarious. But please bear in mind that our summers average out at like 37 degrees every day, and that's like half the year. So when the temperature drops below 25 degrees, it's cold.
It's like 9 degrees at night, though. Celsius.
It is cold at night. Yeah, it is cold at night. But a lot of people still wouldn't consider that cold.
So yeah, that's why Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras is like that.
I just want to acknowledge, like, Pride is a really good time for you to get to know your local LGBT history. I feel like a lot of LGBT history that you see online, promoted online, is very American-centric or even British-centric. You should use this time, Pride Month, to maybe get to know your own country or your own city even, what their history is. Do a bit of research. You never know what you find. You might find an interesting story.
Yeah, I feel like LGBT activism in America and England has caused ripples, I guess, for LGBT activism elsewhere.
Oh yeah, it's still important,
so
but I still think it's
important. But yes, it is also, you know, to know your own history is great. Like I feel like not enough Australian LGBT people really know about 1978 and why we have Mardi Gras the way it is, you know?
No, we don't. People don't know. And it's not taught either.
No, it's not taught. Like, we are everything to the black and brown trans women who read the riots at Stonewall. Like, they were very much the first domino of LGBT rights globally, and we wouldn't have anything without them. So I'd say to know about them is important, and also to look into your local history is good because you can appreciate your local community a bit more and feel a bit more a part of it that way, I think. Okay, what's your first, or do you want me to start?
What's one you've got?
I wanted to do ones that are like specifically Pride related. I think I wanted to get these out of the way, and then I can go into just my general ones. Something I think would be really good to watch, because it's Pride Month, is this documentary called Are You Proud? By Ashley Joyner. It's a documentary that tries to tell us the history of Pride festivals in the UK specifically, and it's really interesting the way that it starts from the way that gay nightlife was, to activism, to the way that it kind of split off into separate causes, and, you know, things like the GLSM, the Gays and Lesbians Support the Minors. You know that movie Pride? Like,
oh yeah,
so
Pride,
they talk about that.
Pride.
There's some really interesting footage of a very young Ian McKellen speaking at a Pride.
Ooh, cool.
There's a lot of talk about rainbow capitalism, the effect of that, and how rainbow capitalism has basically ruined Pride in a way, but the way that there are still groups who are actually using Pride as an opportunity, not just as a celebration, but as an opportunity to be activists for causes. And what I liked about this documentary is it's really intersectional. It takes a look at all these different, once it gets to more recent times, it takes a look at what different groups of people from certain races are doing in terms of Pride. So like
cool.
Like the way that it looks at Black Pride and the way that they specifically organize themselves, not just to rally around LGBT causes, but also for other causes, kind of in the way that the GLSM did. And the way that basically the community is very active and like still trying to do that today. And it calls into question, you know, should you be spending this time celebrating when you could also, when there's still things to be done, basically. Even though it is specific to the UK, it's still very interesting and just very heartwarming to see this side of our community, I guess.
The solidarity.
Shout out to Queer Screen, which is like an organisation based in Sydney that runs like all the queer film festivals here, because they specifically made this documentary free for people to come see.
Legends.
Because it is so intersectional and they wanted as many people to see it as possible. So That's how I was able to see it, but you can find it online if you look.
Excellent. What other recs have you got?
Apple TV did that documentary series called Visible out on television.
Oh, yes.
It's basically 5 or 6 episodes where they go through the history of LGBT representation on American television. They start during McCarthy era, like the first time the word homosexual was said on television, right up until the present.
Oof.
I really like the early episodes because it's kind of really scant. Because it's so scant, they get to like focus in on a lot of things. The 3rd episode is really good because it focuses on the time of the AIDS epidemic and how groups like ACT UP started using television specifically as a way to help in their activism, which is really cool. I'm not super into the last 2 episodes, which cover like the more recent stuff, mostly because like there's so much to consider, and I feel like everyone's like, oh, we were the first this, we were the first this. I'm like, all of you are saying you were the first same thing, and it doesn't make any sense. And also there's lots of Ellen DeGeneres.
You can't all be the first.
I know, and also there's a lot of Ellen DeGeneres posturing, which I don't super care for. It's difficult to sum up LGBT television today because I think it's so vast. It's crazy. The way that they tried to kind of, like, I mean, I guess it's a good effort, the way that they tried to kind of summarize it in a way, but I feel like there were lots of people slipping through the cracks and lots of people left out, which isn't super nice. But yeah, it's still very, like, interesting to watch.
Did you know that Australia had its first gay kiss on television 20 years before the US had its first gay kiss on television?
Yes, I did know that. I would really love a celluloid closet or like something like this, but for Australian cinema, like Australian LGBT
Give me
cinema.
time, baby. Give me time. I gotta make connections.
Like, it's actually so crazy, like, how much stuff we've done, but we don't really talk about it, or it's not really even accessible. Like, I know, like, it's like I know these things have happened on Australian TV, but, like, how can I can't even watch this media anymore. Like, it's become so hard to recover, you know?
Yeah. Australia has, like, a very interesting television history that is very vast. I highly recommend a documentary. It's either on SBS On Demand or on iView. It's called She Who Must Be Loved, and it's about the history of Aboriginal women on TV, and it's really, really cool. Like, it's about the women who started NITV and all of that, and it's really great. Got any other Pride recs specifically?
I have talked about this film before on the podcast, but it's worth mentioning again. Beats Per Minute, or 120 Beats Per Minute by Robin Campillo, is, again, like, I cannot stress enough, like, you should watch this movie. Robin Campillo based it on his time as part of ACT UP Paris. What I love about this movie is it manages to be about this whole very big issue, but also very small and micro at the same time. It's really nice that most of the actors in it are openly gay, including Adele Haenel. So, Portrait fans, if you haven't seen this movie, yeah, it's really lovely. Nawal is really lovely in that movie too. Even though it is quite sad and tragic, like there is just like a beauty and a strength that you find in the ending. Also, it's just fun seeing gay people just debate about things very passionately.
Yes, we all got different opinions on things. I have a question. Have you seen this movie? It's a documentary, How to Survive a Plague.
I haven't seen it. I have heard about it though.
It's about the AIDS crisis in the United States. It's all made with footage of that time. I don't think there's any narration or anything. It's just footage of people talking and like activists during that time, and a lot of people have been watching it and saying that we can take a lot of lessons from that in this current time period.
What are your other recs?
Some are movies. I do not have many. I tried very hard while making this list, guys, to not talk about movies I've already talked about, or TV shows, because I don't want to feel like I'm repeating myself. So,
anyways, watch The Handmaiden and The Bisexual.
Anyways, all the movies we talked about before. My first movie, I watched Bad Education, and I didn't look up who directed it. But it is a
You mean
true
the Hugh
story,
Jackman?
I believe.
You mean the Hugh Jackman
Yes.
movie? Yeah, okay. So
Yes.
the Hugh Jackman, it's directed by the same guy who made Thoroughbreds, Corey Finley.
Oh, hell yeah. What a ledge. Bad Education is the true story of I'm not sure what the terms are in American schools, but he's a principal, I guess, or a school manager. I don't actually understand the differences between those things. We don't have that in Australia, so I don't really get it. He is the manager of this school that apparently has the highest percentage of Ivy League acceptances from high school to college. It's a school very much under the public eye, and he is also gay. I liked it because it's one of those stories where his being gay is not necessarily the story. The story is actually about what happened with this school, and it also has our girl from Miracle Workers. What's her name?
Geraldine Viswanathan?
Yes, I love her. She plays the student who investigates the embezzlement and fraud money moving in the school.
I haven't seen a good Hugh Jackman movie in a while, actually, but Bad Education was quite good. I
was very entertained by it for an hour and a half, and my heart was beating. It's like very intense. I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And it's very, very cool movie. Bad Education. So I'm halfway through the documentary on Netflix, Circus of Books, which is about this couple who ran a semi-illegal gay pawn shop. And it's just about the secret gay community that they created because of that. And I just really love it. It's really entertaining and it's really lovely. They talk about the impact of AIDS on the culture of the store. I'm not finished it yet, but it's really lovely. It's produced by Ryan Murphy because, you know, Mr. Murphy has his fingers in a lot of pies in order to deliver good content.
And bad content.
And bad content. You know, he has the range. So, yeah, Circus of Books. I'm really loving that. It's really nice. In Between is a Palestinian film. You can find it on Canopy. I've briefly talked about it before, I think, in our Gay Sadness episode. But I really love this movie. It's about 3 women living together in Palestine. One is gay. And it's just about these women and how they support each other through what becomes like a bit of a stressful time for the 3 of them, and it's a really, really lovely film. For the first part of the film, they don't really get along, but then they all come together to get revenge on this really horrible guy, and it's really nice. I really love it. They all are just very lovely. So that's In Between. You can find it on Canopy. I'm sure you have these on your list, Dee.
What?
Hannah Gatsby's stand-ups.
Yes.
That are on Netflix.
I haven't been able to see Douglas yet.
But you saw it live.
Yeah, I did. On my birthday, I went to see her perform it at the Opera House. I haven't seen what's been uploaded to Netflix. I think the one that's on Netflix, she performed it in America. And the version that I watched was definitely keyed for Australian audiences, so I don't know how I'm going to feel about it whenever I get a chance to see it. It was good anyway, and I hope you guys enjoy it because I've been dying to talk about it for months, basically.
But yeah, Hannah Gatsby is a legend. You've probably already heard about her. She's just a lesbian Australian stand-up comedian. She is great.
She does a lot of stuff. I've been watching Hannah Gatsby's Oz, which is just like a short little docu-series she did, I think, for ABC, where she looks at Australian art history. It's pretty fun. I've only seen the first episode, but she talks about colonial art.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so shout out to lesbians with art history degrees who are funny. Love you guys.
Yeah. The other movie I've got here, I haven't actually watched it yet, but I'm automatically gonna stan it, even though I haven't seen it. It's called The High Note. It is a movie about Tracy Ellis Ross. She is a singer who is in the quote-unquote twilight of her career, and Dakota Johnson is her assistant or whatever. And together they're gonna revamp up Tracy Ellis Ross's career, and it's directed by
Nisha Ganatra?
Yeah. She's Indian lesbian director, and I really liked her other film, Late Night, which had Emma Thompson in it.
That was okay.
I really appreciate her just casting all the MILFs in her movies. Thank you. for your service. Oh, I have True History of the Kelly Gang here, which is, I don't know, like, yes. True History of the Kelly Gang. I love this movie. It is absolutely one of my favorite movies that I've watched this year. I actually am low-key very obsessed with this movie.
Justin Kurzel was like, believe it or not, Ned Kelly was gay. Yeah, it's a very
awesome.
fun movie.
Visually, it's amazing. The performances are amazing.
I love the dialogue. It's so raw.
So Ned Kelly was a bush ranger, outlaw. He had a crew called the Kelly Gang, made up of some of his family members and other men, and they were all Irish convicts or descended from Irish convicts. And they were essentially just rebelling against the police and against the institution.
And British rule in Australia.
And British rule. Because screw colonial rule in this country. It is just an amazing film. I have heard people call it like an Australian version of a Western, which I guess it is.
Yeah, it's a Western. Not as much of a Western as Sweet Country, which I also recommend.
Yeah, we also recommend. We're huge Sweet Country and True History of the Kelly Gang stans. What I love about True History of the Kelly Gang is it stays in its lane, but it also manages to be intersectional in its own way, which I really love. And yeah, if you are a George McKay stan, this is his best work. I say, with having not seen most of his filmography.
The Peter Pan 2003 erasure.
But yeah, he's just very good as Ned Kelly. Also, I didn't know till this movie that he was half Australian or whatever. But that meant that I was less impressed by his accent. My other, like, I call them sort of vaguely gay movies. Before I get to the completely not gay movies, is this is a movie I watched recently, is Nancy Drew and the Hidden Staircase.
Okay.
This movie is adorable. Sophia Lillis as Nancy Drew is honestly such a baby lesbian. I love her. She's just skateboarding around, wearing her flannels, revenging her girlfriends for like from these boys that are being mean to them, solving crimes. She's very close to the crazy old lady that lives across the road from her street, and I just love that. It's very sweet, very wholesome movie.
I know I've talked about it before on this podcast, but I do have to say, watch Saturday Church, please.
Saturday Church is lovely. Amazing.
Another movie that we've talked about on this podcast, but it's just please watch it. Not enough people have watched it. Is The Watermelon Woman by Cheryl Dunye. Canopy has Cheryl Dunye's almost all of her
filmography.
Work, including all of her short films, so
too.
Have a look at that. The movie Go Fish by Rose Trosh. It's like an experimental lesbian film from 1994. It's really fun. I like it. I think it's like the closest a white woman has ever gotten to capturing the inside of my mind.
Ooh.
So well done. My Beautiful Laundrette, made by Stephen Frears. Yes, it's that gay Daniel Day-Lewis movie. The main character is actually a Pakistani gay man, and I'm all about seeing movies with more brown gay people because there aren't enough.
No.
Another recommendation is Happy Together. I know that this movie is widely known as being devastating, and they're right. That whole movie is a journey, and I love it. And seeing Leslie Chung in that movie, everyone has to see Leslie Chung in that movie. For those who don't know, Leslie Chung was a bisexual actor and singer. He's sadly not with us anymore, but his work in that movie is beautiful. I wanted to also recommend The Hours by Stephen Daldry. It's kind of about 3 different timelines. So yes, it's the movie where Nicole Kidman wears the fake nose and is Virginia Woolf, but it's still good, okay? The soundtrack by Philip Glass is incredible. This movie has all of my favorite white women. It's actually insane.
Nice.
Like, it's got Nicole Kidman, you got Meryl Streep, Allison Janney, you have Julianne Moore, you have Toni Collette.
Nicole Kidman was one of your favorite white women.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you have Toni Collette. Even though Toni Collette is there for like 3 minutes, she's amazing. And also esteemed character actress Margaret Martindale. I first watched this movie in Extension English in high school in like year 11, and I remember hating it because I had a lot of internalized homophobia, etc. back then, but I watch it again and I love it so much. It is quite sad, but whatever. You know how we feel about sad movies.
Yeah, they are sad, but like it's more complicated than that. Like, you think things are sad? Grow up.
The movie Lingua Franca is directed by Isabel Sandoval, who is a trans Filipino woman. She's also starring in it. It's just a beautiful story, and we should obviously be following.
Oh, wait, can I ask if you have something on your list?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Do you have Benjamin on your list?
I was thinking about it.
Sorry to interrupt.
Benjamin is directed by Simon Amstel, that comedian. It's starring Colin Morgan. So if you want to see Colin Morgan be gay in something that isn't Merlin.
I was going to say, if you were going to finish that sentence, if you want to see Colin Morgan be gay, I was like, bitch, they could just watch Merlin.
Yeah, watch Benjamin. Benjamin is a movie, like, it was really funny, but also it confused me. The character Benjamin is obviously based on the guy that wrote and directed it, Simon Amstel. I do recommend, like, if you were, like me, confused by this movie, watch the guy's stand-up special on Netflix as well, because it's like a Benjamin explained in a way. Also, Nathan Stewart Jarrett comes in for like 3 minutes and he looks beautiful with like bleach blonde hair, and he like calls the shit out of Benjamin's character. So he's just the best part of the movie.
This movie opens up with a scene of Colin Morgan laying in Anna Chancellor's lap.
Yeah.
And it's like, what a
God, I wish
that were me.
Back to my list, so I just talked about Lingua Franca. These movies aren't technically gay. They're a bit gay. Little Forest from 2018. It's got Kim Tatum from The Handmaiden in it.
Long.
It's a lovely quarantine movie, specifically because she just moves back to her countryside home and like cooks food for herself from stuff that she's grown in her garden, and it's really lovely. And Madeline's Madeline, Madeline's Madeline, which is a crazy movie. I don't know how to explain it, but Helena Howard is God. Other movies on my list were Pain and Glory, A Fantastic Woman, Amores Urbanos by Vera Egito. It's a Brazilian film. I think the English title is Restless Love. I really love this movie. It's basically about 3 friends in their late 20s, early 30s. One's a gay man, one's a lesbian, and one's a straight woman. But I don't think she's so straight. It's just a nice movie about friendship and also about like their love struggles, and for once it's just refreshing because it's not about fucking straight people.
We love that.
Which is great. Tropical Melody and basically anything by Where's Ethical. Joe Where's Ethical is an amazing gay Thai film director, and he makes a lot of weird stuff that is very gay, but also not gay, but also just very gay anyway, in that way. Alyssa and Marcella is on Netflix. It's by Isabel Cuzet. I don't know how to say her name. It's the tale of these 2 women, and one of them basically pretended to be a man so that they could live together. So There's lots of gender in that. Also, like, this is obviously kind of a classic that everyone watches, but I think it's fun to revisit in times like this. But I'm a Cheerleader, directed by Jamie Babbitt, which is, the conversion therapy comedy. Also, Dante Basco is in it. And I remember the first time I watched this movie, I wasn't really paying attention to the screen, but then suddenly out of nowhere, I heard Zuko's voice from Avatar telling me that I'm a lesbian. And I was like, wait, what? The Wedding Banquet by Ang Lee is really good. It's very similar to The Gathering or Arisan, which is an Indonesian comedy. I haven't finished watching this movie, but I started it and it's really corny and cute. Shubh Mangal Zyada Savdan, or Extra Careful of Marriage. I think it's one of the first gay Bollywood movies with gay men as the main characters.
Oh.
I remember when this movie came out, I think at the start of this year or sometime last year, people were like, oh, this is Bollywood's first gay movie, and I'm like, did you forget? But this is like actually gay. They're actually kissing and stuff in this movie, and I was like, whoa.
No.
Whoa, I was not expecting this,
Whoa.
but I'm happy for them. So far it's been very cute. It's super cheesy, but I think we should be allowed to be cheesy. 52 Tuesdays, which is Sophie Hyde's first film. It's really lovely. It's on SBS On Demand. And Then We Danced by Levan Akin. That came out quite recently, and I love it a lot. It's sort of like a new Billy Elliot, but even gayer. So it's probably the best movie one of the best movies that I've watched this year. What were your other recs?
My other non-LGBT rec, although now that I'm saying it, it actually has like a sort of a scene with a lot of gay culture in it, I guess. Top End Wedding is a beautiful Australian rom-com written by Miranda Tapsell, who's a Aboriginal woman. It's sort of one of those, wedding, everything that could go wrong could possibly go wrong. She's marrying a white British dude and she wants to go back home to Darwin, which is in the Northern Territory, the very northern part of Australia, for anyone who doesn't know. She wants to go home and get married at home. And when she gets there, it turns out her mum has left her dad, gone somewhere, and they don't know where she is. So the movie becomes about her going out to find her mum while everyone else tries to organize the wedding. And it's just this really, it's really funny and it's really beautiful. It made me cry. It's so lovely. And yeah, it's written by an Aboriginal woman and it's about an Aboriginal woman, which is really great. I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast, but you're going to find it out in this episode anyway. But my favorite genre probably of films is the treasure hunting / adventure genre. It's my favorite genre. There is not enough things in this genre, and the things that are in this genre tend to be pretty everything, like racist, sexist,
Bad.
And they on top of that, they're usually just bad anyway. But occasionally there are things that are not that bad. And one of those is Dora and the Lost City of Gold. It's very fun. But I also like this movie because it's a treasure hunting movie, but it still manages to be respectful to indigeneity and to historical artifacts, and it actually paints the people who are treasure hunting for capital as evil, which I really like, and makes the distinction between exploring and treasure hunting, which I also like. And my final movie recommendation, I was trying to think of a pandemic film that you could still watch in this time that would not make you depressed. And the perfect film I decided is Mayhem.
You're right.
Mayhem by Joe
Lynch,
amazing,
starring
it is an amazing
Stephen Yeun
movie.
and Samara Weaving.
Dee and I saw this movie together at Sydney Film Festival. Oh my god, the grins on our faces when we came out. This movie is so much fun. It is very cathartic. It's a bit violent. If you're not a fan of violence, probably don't watch it.
It's extremely violent.
The premise is there's a virus that infects people and it doesn't necessarily make you sick. What it just
makes
affects
everyone
your brain.
act on impulse, on all their impulses.
It lowers your inhibitions entirely. You have no control over your impulses. Everyone's locked down for 6 hours
in a law firm
while the antidote that they release into the air kicks in, and Stephen Yeun has just gotten fired and Samara Weaving has just gotten denied representation from this lawyering firm, and they have some rage. Have you got any non-LGBT movies that you'd like to recommend?
It Must Be Heaven, which is a mockumentary by Alyssa Salem. It's so funny. Oh my god. Also Atlantics by Mati Diop.
Yes.
And also I'm a Cyborg, But That's Okay. Okay, TV.
I got Search Party is my first one. It stars my wife, Alia Shawkat, as the main character. Picture this show is How to Get Away with Murder, but with people who are just normal people and not law students. I really like it because it is more like a drama, but it is only in 20-minute episodes. So it's very good if you're not the kind of person who likes to pay attention for 45 minutes straight. It's all right. I see you. What We Do in the Shadows, the TV series. This series just got confirmed for a season 3. So I don't think I need to explain What We Do in the Shadows. I think everyone's pretty familiar with it. But the TV series, if you haven't seen it, is actually even gayer than the movie. It's really fun, and I love every single character in What We Do in the Shadows TV series.
I love Guillermo.
Next in Fashion, I think, is really fun if you just want something a bit mindless. It's just one of those competition reality shows hosted by Alexa Chung and Tan France. And most of the designers on the are also gay. I'm currently praying that it gets another season because I love watching Tan France and Alexa Chung interact. It's
so
pure
stupid.
serotonin. They're so stupid. I love them. They have 4 brain cells between them and none of them are functioning. My next show, speaking of treasure hunting.
Oh no.
My next show is Blood and Treasure. I'm not going to defend anything about this show. All I'm going to say is that Sophia Panas as Lexi Vaziri is the dream woman.
I'm so astounded how expensive Blood and Treasure is.
Oh, honestly, it's so expensive. They film
and
all
they
the
can't
places
even
they
get
go.
a good font.
And they can't even colour like the shots
and they
properly.
can't even get some nice color grading.
High Fidelity. I just started watching this because it's on iView.
Oh.
For free. And I love that. So Zoe Kravitz is bi in this, which I didn't know.
It's a gender-swapped version of the Nick Hornby novel.
Next up on my list is Devs. Devs is a TV series. It's sci-fi. It's made by Alex Garland. So if you like Ex Machina, or what's it called? That stupid movie he adapted from the book.
How dare you say that about Never Let Me Go? That's my favorite.
No!
No, I know you're talking about Annihilation.
Annihilation. I mean, I don't like either of those movies really, but if you like them, it's the same guy who did those movies is doing Devs. I love Devs. Devs is so cool. It's like a very interesting philosophical sci-fi show and I really like it. Yeah, it's got a really awesome cast and the performances are all amazing and it's only 8 episodes and the soundtrack is really cool as well. Please go and check out Devs.
The Great.
I haven't finished The Great. Dee can probably talk a bit more about it, but it is great.
I finished it in 24 hours.
Nice.
And afterwards I was like an empty shell of a person because I love the show. It's so fun. It's so wrong. Yeah, it's written by one of the writers of The Favourite, Tony McNamara. Nicholas Hoult is excellent.
He's my fave.
Sacha Dhawan is excellent.
My fave.
I think his hair extensions are tragic, but that's fine.
Oh my god.
It doesn't matter.
You know what's funny? Sacha looks so bad, but I still love him.
Yeah, he looks terrible, but you know, it's lovely. Yeah, I like that a bunch of historically white people are being played by people of color, which is always fun. Well, usually fun when it's done in a way that's considerate and like actually well thought out. And this show does that. Also, there are some bisexual characters in it. So
I'm up to the aunt, but I haven't gotten to anyone else.
Yeah,
That's fun. That's something to look forward to.
I think Sacha's character in it is gay. I don't care if there's no evidence. No, I will not elaborate.
My other ex is Torchwood. Don't watch the final season 4. Torchwood's a Doctor Who spin-off with Captain Jack Harkness as the main character. Everyone's gay / bi, and it's a lot of fun, and they're just hunting aliens and being horny. I don't know what else more you want from a show, really, except maybe for them to treat their characters of colour a bit better, but for 2008, it was pretty good. It's pretty good. But yes, Torchwood. My next show is I Am Not Okay With This, which you've probably seen on Netflix anyway. But again, there is my girl, Sophia Lillis, playing yet another baby Willower. I really like the show. I think it is... I mean, it's easy to compare it to Stranger Things because I feel like that's how Netflix promoted it anyway. But I think it's a really cool little story about a girl with powers
who is a lesbian.
Who's a lesbian and her crappy town and how she deals with the crappy people in this small town.
It's good fun and dorky and cute.
And my last 2 shows, I'm only recommending this show because I need other people to understand my suffering. So I'm going to recommend The Living and the Dead, which is a show that stars Colin Morgan. This show, I watched it on a whim. Because it got recommended to me after I rewatched the first season of Penny Dreadful, and I liked the sound of it because I like things about ghosts. And it's about this guy living in, I want to say, Victorian England, and he's a psychologist. And I love things that are about psychologists that are set in the Victorian era, because everyone's like, oh my god, he's a wizard. He knows how to read my thoughts. It's like, nah, bitch, he can just read. But anyway, Colin Morgan's character is called Nathan Appleby, and he's a Victorian psychologist, and he moves back to his father's hometown where everybody hates him because, you know, he moved to the big city or whatever. But the house is being haunted, and it's about what it's being haunted by. And it's really cool. It like crosses timelines, and it's just a really interesting show. It was labeled as a mini series, so I assumed it was going to have an ending, but actually it's just a show that was meant to have another season but got cancelled. So it ends on this insane cliffhanger that actually I think about nearly every day, and I just want people to watch it so that someone can commiserate with me over never knowing what the ending of this show means. It's called The Living and the Dead. Please help me. And then my last show that I want to recommend is a show that I watched recently called Lost in Austin, which is just a cheesy show where a girl who is obsessed with Pride and Prejudice gets zapped into the book itself and trades places with Lizzie Bennet. And it's just one of those really funny stories about someone who is from modern times being trapped in not modern times, and I really like all the period jokes, as in like period drama jokes in this show. I also love all the ways that it references other versions of Pride and Prejudice. Downside of this show is that the guy playing Darcy is the ugliest man I've ever seen in my life. But, you know, that's okay. There's lesbian Caroline Bingley, if that floats your boat. So it's just
you
a very...
didn't tell me this. Oh, my God.
There you go. I've been trying to get you to watch it, so I'm just going to tell you. But
Okay.
it's very fun. It's only 4 episodes. I'm not sure where you can find it. It's an old show, but, you know, Google is free, and buying things legally is good.
I don't have that many show recs, actually. Because one of my recs was The Great, but we've already talked about that. I want to start with Betty, which is new to HBO.
Awesome. Tell me about it.
Have you seen Skate Kitchen?
I have.
Yeah, so it's by Crystal Moselle, who made Skate Kitchen, and it's got all the cast of Skate Kitchen, and it's basically kind of just an extended show about them. They're not playing exactly the same characters. I mean, I think they are, like, they've all got the same character names, but it's a totally different story. It's really fun, it's really gay,
oh, cool.
and just super funny, and I love the way it's shot. Like, if you've seen Skate Kitchen and, like, the way that they shoot all the skateboarding, it's wonderful. This is, actually, it is a bit gay. The Hour by Abby Morgan. I know that this is a notoriously traumatic series where it ends, but still watch it anyway. I've rewatched it recently, and I've decided I'm just really happy that it exists because I love going back and looking at it. I love the cast. Ben Whishaw is in it, and he is such a lesbian. Also, your boy Andrew Scott is in it. He is playing a gay character in that as well. I say this because in Australia it's currently on 7+ for free, so please watch it. Like, I literally haven't been able to get over it. It's been nearly 10 years and I haven't been able to get over it, so it's just lovely.
Anna Chancellor, number 1 MILF. All MILFs are number 1, but you know, she's there with Peter Capaldi, destroying my heart scene by scene.
They knew what they were doing.
They know what they're doing.
I do want to let people know I am on the last season of Black Sails. I'm loving it. I can't believe I didn't watch it before, though I'm grateful that I'm watching it now. And when I'm done, I'm hoping that GayV Club, that we do an episode on gay pirates, basically. Another show which I've watched recently, which I think is actually really good for quarantine, I think, is Avenue 5, which is the new sci-fi comedy by Armando Iannucci. So he made The Thick of It and Veep. So if you like those things, it's nothing like those things, but also it's very similar. Hugh Laurie plays a bisexual disaster pretending to be the captain of a space cruise ship, and it's really fun. My last recommendation, I don't know, I feel a bit insensitive recommending this show, but also I just love it very much. So the show Utopia from 2013, there are a bunch of shows named Utopia and it's very confusing, but this is the British show created by Dennis Kelly. The poster is very yellow. It's starring Fiona O'Shaughnessy, Neil Maskell, Geraldine James, Adil Akhtar, Nathan Stewart Jarrett, and a bunch of other amazing people. And yeah, it's like my favorite show that I've ever watched, ever.
One of the last times that Dee came to my house, she asked me if I wanted to watch Utopia because I've had it on my I've had it as a DVD for a while. And I said, yeah, sure. And ended up
I thought we were going to watch like one episode. But then you kept
she
putting
ended
on
up
the next
staying
ones.
an extra day, like an extra night, just to watch the whole thing with me because I was hooked.
Yeah, it's an excellent show. It's a conspiracy thriller. It is about bioterrorism and pandemics, though, which it's kind of a spoiler for me to tell you that, but yeah, I think it's maybe a little bit spooky to watch given what's going on right now, but also it's just like amazing. Gillian Flynn is remaking the show and I'm extremely bitter about it. And so basically I'm just trying to get as many people to watch the show as possible before her remake comes out, because I want you to know that it isn't like the genius of this story is not from Gillian Flynn's mind. Like it is from this show and it's just so lovely. It is extremely violent and you get an idea of just how violent it is in the first 40 seconds. So I think it's good that it jumps right into it. Also, the soundtrack bangs by Christabel Tapia de Beer. Yeah, it's the best show that I've ever watched and I will never love again.
You said that about the last 3 shows that you said.
I know, but yeah, just watch it. Just watch it. It's so incredibly good. I just think about it. All the things that it got right. Like, it's aged so well.
Do you have any other last thoughts or miscellaneous things you want to recommend?
No, not really. I mean, we're constantly going on about Desiree Akhavan and Xavier Dolan and etc.
Yeah.
I mean, watch their movies, whatever. It's whatever. I mean, yes, it's very important to us that you... Oh yeah, books. Books. We were going to get to books. Sorry.
I just want to recommend 3 books that I've read recently. The first book I want to recommend is called My Sister the Serial Killer. It is a really great book. It's only like 200 pages. It's very short. The prose is so pretty. It's written like poetry. It's essentially about this girl whose younger sister is a serial killer. And she's only, the younger sister is like maybe 20, 21. The older sister is, I don't know, in her mid-20s. And the book is just like all the times, her looking back on all the times she's had to like cover up for her sister because she's murdered her boyfriend. It's kind of like darkly comical, but it's also like a very interesting book about trauma. I really, really loved it. My Sister the Serial Killer. The other book I want to recommend is another pandemic. I can't help but recommend pandemic fiction. I'm sorry if that seems insensitive. I am sorry, but
it's very tragic because unfortunately this was like our favorite genre.
It is
like before
literally
any of
it
this
is one
happened,
of the genres that Dee and I both share a very deep love for. It's just unfortunate that we're living in one right now. But Station 11 is a really great book. It is about the aftermath of a pandemic and about the world being rebuilt. And it focuses specifically on a group of artists, which I really love. I feel like a lot of pandemic fiction is about scientists and journalists, but this is specifically about a group of actors and how they help rebuild the world through art and spreading joy through art. Just a warning, the start of it is very reminiscent of
I
era.
started reading this book in like February and it was really spooky.
Yeah, so just a warning for that. And the third book I want to recommend is a book Written by my friend Patrick Lenton, who is the editor at Junkie magazine, but he has a book called Uncle Hercules and Other Lies. It's a very short book of personal essays, and it is some of the funniest stuff I've ever read. He's bi, and so some of the stories are really funny. It's just about his gay and wondrous adventures. But yeah, it's very funny. Uncle Hercules and Other Lies. It's a pretty inexpensive book. I have both a digital copy and a physical copy. And if you just want to sit and laugh for 40 minutes while you read something, I highly recommend it. I'm not just saying that because he's my friend. I'm saying that because I genuinely love this book. And it's very funny. So yeah. Oh, sorry, I had one more book, and it's Dark Emu by Bruce Pascoe. I always get people asking me for book recommendations and recommendations for media about Indigenous Australians, and I think this is the seminal text for people wanting to learn about the history of colonisation in this country and how it affected our culture as Indigenous Australians and how it affected the perceptions of our economy and our livelihood as Aboriginal people. And it's really, really, really amazing. Again, it's another short read. I think it's only like under 300 pages or something. It's really good. But yeah, those are some books. I'm just trying to think if I have recommendations of anything else. Most of our listeners have Tumblr, so you've probably heard, but the Magnus Archives is a really fun little horror podcast. I'm really enjoying it. I didn't think I would. You know how when your dash gets filled with something and you want to hate it because it's just like everywhere? I was like so ready to listen to this and be like, oh, it's stupid. Like, what is everyone even going on about? But I actually am very, very much enjoying it. It's if you like little horror stories, it's essentially just a podcast of short horror stories.
I'm enjoying it, but also the guy's voice is just so relaxing to listen to that I fall asleep to it. So, yeah. Today when I was at work, I had my phone in my back pocket, and suddenly I kept hearing like this guy talking behind me, and I had no idea who it was because I couldn't see anyone. And then after 10 minutes, I realized that I'd accidentally hit play somehow. So it was just Jonathan Sims talking behind me for like 10 minutes, and I didn't realize.
Did you lose your place?
Probably, actually. God damn it. But that's fine. I constantly lose my place because, as I said, I'm constantly falling asleep to this podcast. There are like all these kind of memes going around from writers, I think, talking about like how they're going to write the best quarantine novel during this time, but I think the best quarantine novel has already been written, and it's called My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. It's about this woman who tries to get all her sleep done in 1 year so that she never has to sleep again. Warning, because obviously there's a lot of drug use in this. I think the main narrator character is gay. She's very annoying, but also very funny, I think. I'm currently reading Gay Pride and Prejudice by Kate Christie, which is a reimagining of Pride and Prejudice, except Lizzie is gay, Caroline Bingley is gay, and a bunch of other characters. I started it for fun, but it's honestly ruining my life because it's actually like killing me. At first I was like really, even though I know it's titled Gay Pride and Prejudice, whenever they would introduce the concept of a certain character being gay, I would be like, be shocked, and now I'm like at this point where it's...
She was messaging me every single time and sending me screenshots, and I'm like, you're literally reading Gay Pride and Prejudice.
But yeah, it is currently ruining my life, and eventually we're gonna do an episode on just all the different Pride and Prejudice adaptations, and I'm gonna talk about this one. Also, if you like reading comics or graphic novels and want something gay to read, I highly recommend Pretty Deadly, also Die, The Wicked and the Divine, Deadly Class, and Saga. Also, Apple and Knife is a book by Intan Paramaditha, who's an Indonesian author, and it's a collection of short stories, and it's really weird and fun. So I recommend that as well.
Awesome.
Those are our Pride Month / quarantine recs.
just watch things that make you feel nice. I know I say that every episode.
I know that we just recommended a bunch of things that make us feel horrible, but yeah.
But, like, also, there's no shame in just rewatching things that make you feel good and just rewatching stuff that you know is comfortable. I mean, we're living in such uncertain times. You're constantly being bombarded with uncertainty. Like, it's okay to just watch, like, dumb movies.
Avatar: The Last Airbender again for the 10 millionth time.
Just watch stuff that makes you feel good. We're just recommending things because maybe if you feel like watching something you haven't seen, give these things a try. I didn't mention Selfie because I feel like I'm always talking about Selfie, but Selfie's the greatest show ever made. So,
period.
Thank you for listening, everybody.
We hope you're safe. We hope you have a good Pride. We hope you have a safe Pride. We hope you have a gay and wondrous month, basically.
Yes.
Next episode, we will be doing our Hollywood episode, so if you haven't seen Hollywood 2020, BoJack Horseman, or read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, give those a go if you want. And as Mary says, watch something nice, and maybe some of the nice things are the things that we've just said. Okay?
Yes.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.